G'day everyone, my name is Dean and welcome to a mega preview on AFL 26. I'm going to give you a rundown on all the new things in the game. I went down to Big Ant Studios yesterday, but there is a fair bit to get through. So if you are wanting the most amazing gameplay footage, I probably can't give you that because there's a heap to learn and I only really had enough time for a game and a half. So there's no way I have scratched the surface on the best way to play this. But let's get into it. When you jump into a Play Now game, it does feel familiar enough to AFL 23, but this time you can customize your team kit, mixing and matching shorts and socks to make some, outrageous fashion choices on the field. In terms of the big gameplay changes, the one you'll notice is the set shot mechanic has changed. There's a secondary, there's another timing element, obviously, depending on where you need to get the ball. You sort of need to tap it in between the two big sticks, but you also need to account for wind as well as the right to left curve if you're a right footer or the left to right curve of a left footer. It's almost like AFL Live 1 in terms of how much curve there is. It's quite a significant amount, so there is a bit of a learning thing to do there with the new set shot. Alongside set shots, the other major change has been to marking. There's been a lot of improvements in the visual indication side of things, so you know where you need to be standing to actually be in the best position to take the mark now. It does mean that it is a bit easier for players to understand how to get to each contest, as well as speckies have been nerfed quite significantly so that it is a huge special moment when it does happen and your players sort of have to be in the right position for it. I think it is a big change, and I do think it will definitely help people understand how to mark the ball a lot better in this game, so it is a good one. Big tick for this one. And then before jumping into a game, I just wanted to have a quick look at my team. The lineup screen isn't significantly different, but there has been some minor changes there. But when I went to the tactics screen, oh boy was I overwhelmed. There is a lot of tactics here that have been in AFL 23 before, so it shouldn't all feel new. But there is enough there that it is probably going to take a while before people work out the best mix to be able to play this game. You can now set a tag on any player on the opposition using any of your own players. I'm sure you can probably use your fullback to tag Nick Dacos if you really wanted to. And there's the option to also set up a spare player anywhere. You can position them wherever you want on the field, whether that's behind the ball, close to the contest, in front of the contest, or I guess really far down as an aggressive extra forward. I did try to use this later on to try and stage a comeback, so we'll have a look at that a bit later. So it was a tricky mix already to even work out anything before I'd even started playing. Let's get into it. So we are going to get into some gameplay. I'll be playing as the Giants against the Brisbane Lions, and I'm 1v1ing against another human player here. I'm playing against their QA tester, who, from what I've been told, is the best in the office. So hopefully he can pull off some pretty cool stuff while I'm still kind of learning a little bit. As you can see, there has been some improved presentations as well for the pre-game. Game's looking slick here. We're playing at Twilight at NG Stadium, but I will jump in and out as we discuss the game, and I'll let some of the guys at Big Ant also take over the conversation so you can kind of get a bit of an insight into why they did some of these things. So let's have a listen. What's the go-to tactic so far? Is like handballing, like forward handballing, really strong, or?
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing is trying to keep the play free is where you sort of get to. A lot of the updated tackling mechanics and systems sort of mean that we're allowing the game to flow a little cleaner. Making sure that sort of isn't too overpowered is one of the big aspects of it at the moment. But yeah, I suppose using a lot of the hands out of the contests when you're in the tackles, putting the hands up to get the ball free and flowing. I think one of the biggest things when we were looking at, what AFL Live did when we made the game all the way back when was sort of that free-flowing movement was really key to sort of the engagement and fun that game provided. So sort of trying to bring a lot of that freedom back to not necessarily locking everything into, a locked-in pass, a locked-in handball, keeping it a bit more freer, which sort of goes into what Sam was saying about the kick targeting system. That was something very quickly. So this is actually an injury we had live in game. So what we do have in game as well is we have 2 versions of injuries. So we have a live injury where you'll see players literally grab their hamstring in live play. We'll also have a full injury where you will have to take them off the ground until they get replaced. The kick targeting was one of those ones where when we introduced it on AFL 23 to sort of just see how everything went. We weren't necessarily, it was somewhat, experimental when we put it in. People really loved it. They engaged quite well with it. So it's another one of those things that we thought we'd keep in 26, and it just opened up what we can do with every other element of the game as well.
Under pressure, Neil gives the handball away. Briggs.
Oh, he's tripped him. So trip is a new infringement we have as well.
Is he able to move off the mark if he wanted to? Because of the stand rule?
The stand rule is there.
But you can't go outside 5.
You can choose to sort of not engage in the mark if you swap to your player quick enough.
So it is kind of possible.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we don't necessarily drag you into every contest.
At this point, we do chuck on the kick targeting system, so you'll see that in use from me. It did exist in 23, but not till, I think, pretty late in the build. So, yeah, this is the first time that I've really tried it out. And let's see how I go. Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that essentially what that allowed us to do was make it so that you can kick to space a lot more. That was sort of one of the things that people had a lot of feedback on 23 was that a lot of our kicks felt very automatic.
Yep.
That it was always targeting someone, so you'd sometimes tap the ball and it'd go 50 metres. This allows you to choose how far you're kicking it.
Oh, did
go.
I get enough power on it?
No! Oh, that was close.
So I will just jump in here with some initial thoughts. Obviously, it's been a quarter and a half, so it's hard to really give any sort of impression. But I will say a lot of the game does feel like it flows better than AFL 23. It certainly won't be the the launch of AFL 23. This is a much more playable game that you will probably have a lot of fun playing, and there is enough. There's enough, I think, depth within the gameplay to really try to work out the best way to play. But in saying that, I was kind of struggling a little bit sometimes to move the ball. Obviously, I'm playing against someone who does know a bit more what they're doing, and they would have been testing it for a long period of time. So, like, not everything is going to be smooth. I didn't really play a lot of 23 over the last, 6 to 12 months. So, if I am trying to work my base skill level off that, it's probably pretty low. And again, it's probably not the easiest game to pick up and play, especially if you are coming up against someone who does know what they're doing. So take that into consideration maybe when you're watching what I'm doing, and I'm obviously trying to take that into consideration when making my judgments as well. There's not a lot more that really happens in this half of football in terms of highlights and stuff, so I am going to just jump out of this game after this half has finished and just really talk about management mode really quickly, as well as the player career mode. You'll notice also in the set shots here that I guess the power does play a bit of an impact, rather than in the last game where power was almost insignificant to your accuracy to an extent. Obviously, the less power you're inputting, the more accurate you can be. Getting it in the green is also, generally a pretty good indication as to, how you want the best accuracy as well. These halftime screens, pretty much the same, no change there, but there has been some slight tweaks to the cutscene, again, for the halftime break. I wonder if it's different depending on whether you're winning or losing. Obviously, I'm down here, so they're a little bit disappointed as they go into the rooms. A few players sitting on the floor. Just a little bit of a leg rub there for Toby Green. But before we go into any further gameplay, let's quickly jump in and talk about manager mode and player career mode. There is a lot to cover in this, so I'll make it pretty quick. You can use all 3 clubs if you really wanted to, all 3 teams within the club, whether that's AFL, AFLW, or whatever state league you are involved in as well. We also get a new look at the player training schedules, the finances, which will, I guess, affect how many support staff you can have on. You get to set some season goals as well if you want to go high risk, high reward. There is just a lot to do, and you can even plan out the travel schedule for your team if you got an away game. It's all a little too overwhelming, I think, at the start, but at least a lot of these systems, or all of them actually, can be automated, so you don't really need to worry about them if you do not want to at all. Board messages are back, which is great, as well as any sort of other inbox message you'll get in there, like injuries, suspensions, whatever else is happening in your game. And then, of course, there is way more to do here. There's every single league you can look through and understand what's happening all across the teams. If you are managing all the different teams as well, you'll have all of that in there. There's so much to do that I really didn't have a chance to look at any of it, so I'm sure you'll get the chance to explore it yourselves, but this does feel like it's the career mode we are looking for. As for the player career, it's very similar in terms of what you can do, but you are just playing as one player. You can choose to play as the team as well, but that's up to you. You can start as either a star player, or if you want to make your own under-18s player, you can do that as well. You're probably not going to be spending too long there, though, because it is just the under-18 champs, which is only like sort of 4 or 5 games between the best of the best in your draft class. You still have all the inbox and other things going on there as well. Once you get in game, obviously it's up to you as to what camera angle you select and things like that. There might be some tweakings as to how you get the best thing out of it. But you can also call for the ball, which gave me this really nice little play. Unfortunately, I didn't finish, which is disappointing. And obviously you're getting drafted to an AFL team. So you want to put your best foot forward. Your performance is the best way to get yourself drafted in player career mode. I didn't want to go too super in depth into the manager career mode and player career, because I feel like that's stuff that you guys will want to discover for yourself, and also I was really pressed for time, so I just wanted to get as many opportunities to play the game as possible and get as much gameplay in as I could to really have that learning experience. So that's why I'm kind of flying through here. These are some of the highlights from the third quarter, which of course is the premiership quarter, and that is really when QA Tester Sam really started to put the foot down and make it difficult for me. But I was finally able to at least get some attacking play going and get on the scoreboard, courtesy of Jesse Hogan in the forward line. This was my first real opportunity at a set shot, I think, or maybe my second one, and managed to nail it. Just bending it right to left back, bit of curve, bit of adjusting for the wind, and was able to nail it. So there is a bit of a learning curve with that as well. I don't think you'll have too much difficulty nailing your set shots once you sort of do work out what you're going to be doing, and that does scale on the difficulty as well. So if you are playing on a harder difficulty, you're going to find it really tricky to actually nail those set shots all the time. And even QA Tester Sam, he was not nailing it every single time. So he was in a bit of a struggle street as well. As for tactics, I do jump in here at 3/4 time to try to change some things up, because I was having some issues defensively. I was like, right, well, let's put the locate on. And then I decided, let's put the spare, let's put Harry Himmelberg in front of the contest. I wanted him ahead of the contest, and you can actually see where the opposition spare is as well. So I think they were obviously having someone set up ahead of the contest, and I was like, well, look, I need Himmelberg to get in front of the ball and really just try to make the extra number, make the extra play, be as aggressive as I can, and hopefully it was going to create a few more scoring opportunities for me going forward. Given I was sort of in an all-or-nothing situation here, 3 goals down, I think the quarter lengths were only 2.5 minutes or 3.5 minutes. I think it was actually 2.5 minutes, not 3.5 minutes. So that's why I decided to do that. I will say for sure that if you are struggling defensively, that you should turn that locate defensive tactic on, because I was really struggling with the zone. I think that's where I was getting eaten up a lot of the time on turnover, where they just seem to have players everywhere. I know it's probably a little bit more of a congested, scrappy game, as I almost pull off, honestly, one of the plays of the game here. It was a bit more of a scrappy, contested game when I did have the locate defenders on. But I felt like I had a much better chance of winning the ball back, if that makes sense, to be able to make more plays. And really, that's where I live. I live in the contest, that's where I'm at my best, when it's the quick reaction times of trying to work out who can do the best thing in the contest, who can make the smart, quick decisions, which is something I wasn't doing in the first half, as I really needed this goal desperately with just under 5 on the clock, and unfortunately, Toby could not deliver it for me at all. Unfortunately for me, it was only a matter of time before Sam was able to send through a ceiling goal to secure his victory. But let's jump into another quick game. I did play a manager game with the Gold Coast Suns, so you'll get to see some action of me up against the AI. I will finish up here, just quickly playing some Gold Coast Suns highlights from one of the games I did, and just give you my final thoughts from the 40 minutes or whatever I was really able to play the game yesterday. And it's probably way too early for me to make a judgment call and say this is the best game ever, or this is a terrible game, because it's not. Like, you can't really make any of those judgments without having enough time to really learn the ins and outs and intricacies. And I think that probably means that it is not an easy game for people to pick up and play. Like, you'll feel familiar for those who have played AFL games before, and especially AFL 23. But I think you will still find that there is a bit of that learning barrier for a new player to come in and really succeed instantly. I think there'll definitely be some people who will struggle potentially with the pace of the game. It's still quite fast, and you still need to make a lot of quick decisions, which again is not something that I think people will find super easy. But hopefully there is a huge tutorial system in the game, so people will be able to at least go through that to learn the controls and stuff if they so desire. I mean, AFL is a complicated sport. I don't know if you've ever taken an international person to an AFL game before who doesn't know the rules and try to explain to them why the things happen on the field that they do. So I can't imagine, trying to translate that into a video game consistently with so many variables in terms of tactics and how the teams play and setups and structures and where spare players could be and couldn't be. Like, I was trying to wrap my head around it. I was like, so if I've got a spare player in the forward line and they've got a spare player in the forward line, depending on where we've taken those two players from, does that mean there's two spare players on the field? Like, there are so many, I think, variables with that element of it. And then, like, if you tag that player, then all of a sudden there's no more spare player. So it's an interesting thing, and I think the only way to really understand the depth, I guess, of that gameplay is by just spending a lot of time with it and finding the best way to play. Most people, probably like me, will just bomb it up the line and just go contest to contest and try to win every contest, and then find a set shot or a quick kick at the goals inside forward 50 is generally my strategy going forward. So, look, it's never the most ideal one, but sometimes a brute force strategy is the best one that works. I am going to leave it for you there today, everyone. I will be live later tonight and tomorrow with more AFL 26, obviously when the game does launch. And that's it. That's it for now. That's your mega preview. Feel free to leave your judgments and comments down below, and hopefully we'll get to get a really enjoyable game. Hopefully in the coming weeks, if people give some really good feedback. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks to Big Ant for having me in the studios, and I will see you guys later. On ya, big Witsy. That's a strong finish.